What if the danger in your home isn't hiding in the news, but already sitting behind the frosted door of your own freezer? Across the country, federal investigators have tracked waves of contaminated tuna, shrimp, corn dogs, and ready-to-eat meals spreading quietly through stores, school cafeterias, and institutional kitchens. Listeria outbreaks, foreign object injuries, wood-like fragments baked into frozen food. How many recalls slipped past while families were just trying to stretch paychecks and keep dinner simple? And if a single contaminated batch can cross from one coast to the other in a matter of days, what does that say about the systems meant to protect the very people most at risk? Older adults, low-income households, and those with chronic health conditions? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on 10 massive recalls shaking the nation. 10 threats that may still be hiding inside ordinary bags, boxes, and trays in millions of freezers. Number 1. Kirkland Tuna. It has only been a few short weeks since the recall of the Kirkland signature ahi tuna wasabi poke hit the news, and the timing alone should make anyone with a freezer feel a sharp tug in the stomach. More than 3,300 pounds pulled back because a batch of green onions upstream rang the alarm for listeriosis. A reminder that contamination does not politely knock. It barges in like an unwanted guest who knows you cannot afford the consequences. The affected dates, September 18th to September 22nd, weren't scattered across a niche market. They were sitting in Costco delis across at least 30 states, right where many older Americans stretch every paycheck like a thin blanket on a winter night. Officials reported no illnesses, but that reassurance feels thin when listeria has a habit of striking hardest at the very people who are already juggling medical bills, fixed incomes, and the feeling that no one is really watching out for them. And the bruise deepens when you remember that Kirkland had another listeria incident involving smoked salmon not long ago. One warning can be forgiven. Two start sounding like footsteps you can hear even when the hallway looks empty. What unsettles people is not only the bacteria, it is the system behind it. Ready-to-eat seafood skips the safety net of heat, relying entirely on the honesty and competence of every link in the supply chain. But modern supply chains move like overworked factory lines, fast, crowded, and always one missed inspection away from disaster. A poke bowl might look like a clean, fresh treat, but each ingredient travels like a commuter on a jam-packed bus, brushing against countless hands before landing on a deli shelf. When a brand as mighty as Costco fails to keep contamination from slipping through, the message to everyday shoppers is chilling. If they cannot guarantee safety with all their influence, what hope does anyone else have? And in this fog of uncertainty, the safest path becomes choosing tuna with straightforward sourcing. Labels that tell you where the fish was caught instead of selling a curated fantasy. Some shoppers quietly shift toward options like pole-caught tuna or simpler canned varieties, not because they enjoy changing routines, but because trust, once cracked, rarely heals clean. Number 2. Jimmy Dean. The nationwide recall of Jimmy Dean's sausage on a stick and corn dog products at the end of September 2025 did not drift quietly into the news cycle. It hit like a hammer dropped on a kitchen floor, loud, sharp, and impossible to ignore. Nearly 58 million pounds of frozen snacks pulled back because fragments of wooden sticks had worked their way into the batter, hiding like little splinters waiting for someone's throat or stomach to pay the price. For families who relied on these bags of easy heat and eat food, sold everywhere from big box retailers to school cafeterias, this wasn't just an inconvenience. It felt like learning the fire extinguisher was filled with gasoline. The items came from a Texas facility running at full tilt from mid-March to late September, producing under both Jimmy Dean and its sister brand State Fair. By the time the recall was announced, 5 injuries had already reached federal authorities. A Class 1 recall is the government's way of saying, this is not theoretical risk. This could genuinely hurt someone. And the most unsettling detail is how far these products traveled. Onto military bases, into institutional kitchens, into freezers where expired labels are often ignored because people assume frozen food is safe forever. But the troubling part is the pattern behind the brand. In previous years, Jimmy Dean faced legal scrutiny for marketing claims that dressed up highly processed items as healthful choices. And there was another foreign object recall involving metal fragments hiding in sausage links. It starts to look less like coincidence and more like a rhythm. One missed safeguard after another, each one passed down the line until the consumer becomes the final inspector. This recall forces a grim realization. Even household name snacks can carry hazards you cannot see. Hazards created by production lines moving faster than common sense. And when a brand waves off concerns by saying the problem is isolated, it rings a bit like someone claiming the leak is only on one side of the boat. For those clearing out their freezers, safer detours exist. Brands that don't rely on deep batter coatings or overworked stick machinery. Some families turn instead to Nathan's Skinless Franks, which avoid wooden stick processing entirely, or Old Wisconsin smoked sausages, known for simpler mechanical handling, or even field roast plant-based Franks, which skip the animal processing choke points altogether. Small shifts like baking your own pigs in a blanket at home. Also remove the mystery layers and keep control in the kitchen where it belongs, not on a crowded assembly line. Number 3, Foster Farms. Some freezer foods hide their danger in the shadows. Others place it right under your teeth. The Foster Farms chicken corn dog recall belongs to the second category. When more than 3,800,000 pounds of frozen corn dogs were pulled from circulation in early October 2025, it wasn't because of bacteria or spoilage. It was because consumers were literally biting into wood. Not metaphorical red flags, not paperwork errors, but actual splintered fragments baked into the batter like tiny traps no one asked for. Federal investigators classified the recall as Class 1, the government's most serious tier, the one reserved for products with a realistic chance of causing severe injury or worse. The production window stretched from late July of the year 2024 through early August of 2025, stamped with the establishment code P6137B. At least 5 injuries were confirmed: cracked teeth, bleeding gums, painful mouth trauma from chunks of wood that should never have been anywhere near a food-grade mixer. And yet these corn dogs kept moving through the national pipeline, filling home freezers, school lunch storerooms, and institutional kitchens, the kinds of places where nobody expects a frozen snack to double as a dental hazard. But the recall makes more sense when viewed against the wider history of Foster Farms. The company has long been dogged by contamination controversies, including a major Salmonella Heidelberg crisis that once raised serious questions about plant sanitation and oversight. Investigators repeatedly flagged concerns about processing line hygiene, rush throughput, and missed USDA checkpoints. It paints a portrait of an operation pushing massive volume through pipes that leak accountability at the joints. So when wood fragments turn up in a child-friendly product, the shock gives way to a grim kind of recognition. A system stretched thin eventually snaps somewhere. For shoppers trying to protect themselves, the solution starts with clearing out anything bearing the P6137B mark or labeled as chicken corn dogs dipped in honey batter. Many people shift instead toward brands with simpler supply chains: Boar's Head uncured chicken sausages, Sabrett skinless poultry franks, Jones Dairy Farm chicken links, or even Coleman natural chicken dogs, which use fewer mechanical steps and avoid industrial stick machinery. Some households skip the sticks entirely and bake their own wrapped franks at home, putting each ingredient in plain sight instead of trusting a production line that has already proven it can hide more than anyone bargained for. Number 4, State Fair. Some food problems arrive quietly. Others spread so widely that you suddenly realize the issue may already be sitting behind your freezer door. The State Fair corn dog recall falls into that second unsettling category. When Hilshire Brands under Tyson Foods acknowledged that more than 58 million pounds of corn dogs and stick-style snacks had been contaminated with pieces of wood, the scale alone felt like something pulled from an industrial cautionary tale. A Class 1 designation confirmed the seriousness. This wasn't a case of might cause discomfort. It was the level reserved for genuine danger. These products rolled out of a Texas facility from mid-March through late September, stamped with EST 582 or P894. Families, schools, bulk stores, even Defense Department cafeterias received shipments. At least 5 injuries surfaced. People biting into their meal only to meet splintered wood. A frozen snack is supposed to offer convenience, not dental trauma. Yet the distribution was so wide that the odds of these items still lingering in home or institutional freezers remain high. But the deeper story stretches beyond a recall. State Fair sits inside the Tyson network, a system shaped by years of corporate consolidation. When fewer companies control more processing plants, the batches get bigger, the machinery works harder, and the margin for error shrinks to a thread. Food safety analysts have long warned that oversized plants produce oversized risks. One weak point becomes the starting line for a nationwide problem. Past controversies surrounding sanitation failures, salmonella-linked recalls, and scrutiny over worker safety only underline the pattern. An operation too large to track itself cleanly. For older Americans juggling fixed incomes and limited choices, the shock isn't just about wood and a corn dog. It's about realizing that familiar brands may be built on production systems stretched so thin that problems slip through unnoticed. When one plant's oversight affects millions of pounds of food, the freezer begins to feel less like storage and more like a lottery of risk. Anyone holding State Fair corn dogs from that March to September window, or anything bearing those establishment numbers, should clear them out immediately. Many families choose safer routes. Applegate Naturals, turkey hot dogs with straightforward sourcing, Adel's chicken and apple smoked sausages that can be skewered and dipped at home, or Hebrew National all-beef franks that avoid the industrial battering lines entirely. A small shift toward do-it-yourself coding puts control back into the kitchen, not into the hands of a system that has already shown it misses what matters most. Number 5, Treehouse Foods. Frozen waffles rarely get a second thought. People buy them the way they buy light bulbs or toothpaste, assuming consistency, assuming safety. That is precisely why the Treehouse Foods recall felt like the ground shifting beneath an ordinary morning. One routine test at a Brantford, Ontario facility revealed listeria lurking where no one expected it, and within days, the recall ballooned from a handful of items to nearly 700 SKUs of waffles and pancakes spread across North America. Not gourmet brands, not niche products. These were the private label favorites from Walmart, Target, Kroger, Aldi, and more. The kinds of foods millions toss into carts without reading the fine print. Some packages carried Best By dates stretching deep into 2025, meaning the freezer aisle's most familiar breakfast shortcut could still be sitting in countless homes. What made the moment especially unsettling was the invisible nature of listeria. No confirmed illnesses, yet a pathogen capable of surviving freezing temperatures, capable of waiting weeks or months before symptoms appear. For older Americans, especially those managing chronic conditions, that silence is not comforting, it is ominous. Treehouse Foods' broader record only adds weight to the unease. As one of the country's largest contract manufacturers, they supply dozens of store brands that appear unrelated on the shelf, but originate from the same production lines. When a single plant falters, the consequences ripple outward like cracked glass. A recent multi-million-dollar class action settlement accused the company of misrepresenting its safety practices, and although they avoided admitting fault, the scope of the recall said more than any press release. Experts have warned for years that private label consolidation creates a blind spot. People trust retailer branding even though the manufacturing sits behind a curtain few consumers realize exists. For anyone trying to protect their household, the first step is clarity. Check every box of waffles or pancakes in the freezer for lot codes beginning with 2C and Best By dates spanning October 2024 to October 2025. The safest path forward often starts with brands that rely on smaller facilities and shorter production chains. Some families trade up to Van's sprouted grain waffles, Birch Bender's frozen waffle lines, or Nature's Path organic breakfast items. Options that keep their ingredient lists readable and their supply chains visible. Others take the moment as a cue to keep a simple pancake mix at home, trusting their own skillet more than a factory that allowed contamination to slip past dozens of checkpoints. In a world where even breakfast can hide a hazard, putting control back on the stovetop may be the most reassuring step of all. Number 6, Bruce Pack. Most people picture danger in food as something you can smell, spot, or at least suspect. But the Bruce Pack recall proved how wrong that instinct can be. When federal testing uncovered listeria in fully cooked, ready-to-eat meats from a massive Oklahoma facility, it wasn't just another quality slip. It exposed an uncomfortable truth about modern manufacturing. Even the items designed to make life easiest, grilled chicken strips, sliced cooked meat, pre-assembled frozen, entree, can hide a risk that's already baked in before you ever open the package. Nearly 10 million pounds were recalled at first, and the number kept climbing toward 11 plus million as more lots surfaced. These products weren't boutique groceries, they were the quiet workhorses of the American food system. Shipments flowed to restaurants, school cafeterias, meal service contractors, institutional kitchens, and discount retailers. Some of the items were likely plated and served long before anyone knew a pathogen was involved. And because listeria survives freezing and refrigeration like an unwelcome house guest who refuses to leave, recalled items may still be sitting in home freezers or school storage rooms. A Class 1 designation confirmed the gravity. Federal officials rarely use language as stark as reasonable probability of serious health harm, yet that's the label these items earned. Bruce Pack's business model only intensifies the unease. As a contract manufacturer, it cooks and packages food that later appears under dozens of unrelated brand names. Rouse, Jenny Craig, supermarket frozen dinners, even private label offerings at Trader Joe's, Great Value and Good and Gather. Shoppers think they're choosing brand A or brand B, unaware that both may come from the same high-volume facility, prioritizing speed, cost, and throughput. In the aftermath, experts emphasized how dangerous long production windows can be, June through October, because they multiply the odds that vulnerable people, especially older adults, have already consumed affected products. New York alone saw more than 20 schools receive recalled lots, raising ethical questions about how budget-pressed institutions choose suppliers. Anyone trying to stay safe must start with a simple step. Inspect every ready-to-eat cooked meat product for establishment code P51205 and for Best By dates extending into late 2025. If the code appears, the item should go straight to the trash or be returned for a refund. No amount of home cooking guarantees the removal of listeria once contamination has occurred. Many families shift instead to brands with stricter oversight. Boar's Head Deli meats with transparent protocols, Dietz and Watson's additive-free options, or Applegate Naturals lines that favor shorter ingredient lists and smaller facilities. Some even choose fresher meats prepared in small batches at local grocers, taking back control over a part of the food chain that has grown more opaque with each passing year. Number 7. Rich's Bars. Some recalls feel predictable. This one did not. The trouble began with a product nobody associates with danger, a colorful ice cream bar that seems designed for field trips, summer afternoons, and school cafeterias. Yet in the summer of 2025, regulators traced a potential listeria threat to Rich's ice cream bars, and suddenly the kind of treat that usually brings relief from heat became a source of unease. The company ended up recalling more than 110,000 cases, roughly 10 million individual bars, spanning flavors from strawberry shortcake to cotton candy twirl to savagely sour blue raspberry, each one tied to lot numbers ranging from 24351 through 25156. The reach was astonishing. 23 states from California to New York, plus shipments exported to the Bahamas. Schools received these bars, concession stands stocked them, ice cream trucks relied on them. A Class 2 designation signaled that vulnerable people, older adults, pregnant individuals, those with weak immune systems, could face medically significant consequences. And because listeria survives freezing like it was built for it, the cold storage that usually protects consumers becomes, in this case, the very reason danger lingers longer. But the recall didn't just raise concerns about microbes, it illuminated the infrastructure behind Rich's ice cream. The brand has long operated in a space dominated by large volume institutional buyers, high mix product lines, and slim margins. Its bars appear under cheerful names, yet industry analysts argue that the operations behind them depend on throughput heavy enough to stretch oversight thin. When dozens of flavors, millions of bars, and vast distribution routes all converge on a single manufacturing chain, a contamination slip doesn't stay isolated. It ripples across school districts, snack vendors, and households that never once thought to question the origin of a simple frozen bar. The risk is immediate and concrete. 10 million bars distributed just months ago, many likely still buried behind frozen vegetables or tucked into school freezers. Anyone with Rich's bars should check lot codes in the 24351 to 25156 range and discard or return them. The danger won't cook out, freeze out, or fade out. Families looking for safer frozen treats often turn toward brands with tighter control over flavor lines and facility oversight. Tillamook frozen novelties, Blue Bunny individually wrapped bars from dedicated production lines, or Haagen-Dazs mini bars known for premium-grade quality control. Choosing smaller batch, higher visibility brands reduces the chance that a simple dessert hides a problem bigger than its packaging suggests. Number 8. MCI foods. Most people think of danger as something loud: sirens, alarms, flashing warnings. The trouble with the MCI foods recall is how quietly it traveled. Breakfast burritos are supposed to be the calm part of a morning, a shortcut meal meant to silence hunger before the day even begins. But in October 2025, federal inspectors uncovered a listeria threat inside thousands of frozen burritos and wraps produced at a California facility, turning an everyday handheld meal into a silent liability. More than 91,000 pounds of product carrying establishment codes EST1162A or P5890A came under the recall window. Items made between September 17 and October 14 and sold under names like El Más Fino, Los Cabos, and Miramar. What unsettled officials wasn't only that the products contained eggs that tested positive for listeria, it was where these frozen wraps were heading. They weren't just stocked in supermarket freezers, they were shipped directly into school breakfast programs and federally funded lunch systems. A CBS report pointed out that institutional freezers could still be storing these items, waiting to be reheated and served to kids, seniors, or anyone who counts on cafeteria meals. And because listeria can survive freezing like it's part of its natural habitat, just heating it is not a reliable safety net. The deeper concern is what MCI Foods represents inside the food system. It is not a familiar household brand. It is a behind-the-scenes supplier feeding dozens of labels across school districts, distributors, and retail chains. Frozen breakfast burritos seem simple, but the ingredients, egg, cheese, sausage, potato, come from multiple subcontractors. A single contaminated input travels through the entire chain, embedded into the final wrap long before it reaches a child's cafeteria tray or a worker's break room microwave. The recall laid bare an uncomfortable fact. Convenience foods that blend many ingredients from many sources allow problems to spread faster than consumers can track. These burritos are recent, widely distributed, and built for long shelf life, meaning there is a real chance they are still hiding in home freezers or school storage. Anyone holding burritos with the establishment numbers above or lot codes produced within the September to October window should stop there. Do not eat them, do not try to cook them safe, and do not assume frozen means protected. Number 9. Lean cuisine. Frozen meals are supposed to be predictable. Pop, heat, done. That's why the Nestlé recall in March 2025 landed like a strange riddle. Why would a ravioli or lasagna contain wood-like material at all? Multiple complaints, one near choking scare, and suddenly a long list of lean cuisine and Stouffer's favorites: butternut squash ravioli, spinach artichoke ravioli, lemon garlic shrimp stir-fry, party-sized chicken lasagna was pulled from shelves. These items were produced from late 2024 into early 2025, yet their best-by dates stretch deep into 2026, meaning countless freezers may still be hiding them. For a brand built on safe convenience, finding splinter-like fragments in finished meals raises deeper questions. What broke down in a system meant to prevent foreign materials from entering food at all? And why do these issues echo earlier criticisms aimed at Nestlé's global operations for allergen errors, cross-contamination, and foreign object complaints? When two major lines, Lean Cuisine and Stouffer's, show the same flaw, it suggests something upstream beyond a single packaging glitch. You deserves clarity. Any affected product should be tossed or returned immediately. Safer alternatives exist. Evil meals with straightforward ingredients, Amy's Kitchen frozen entrees made on smaller lines, or Sweet Earth plant-forward dishes with tighter oversight. The rule is simple. Frozen is not the same as risk-free, and checking lot codes matters far more than people assume. Number 10, Nate's Pasta. Some recalls whisper, this one roared. When investigators linked a deadly listeria outbreak to pasta meals made by Nate's Fine Foods, the shock came not from an exotic product, but from fettuccine trays and shrimp scampi bowls people buy for ordinary weeknights. Across 18 states, 27 confirmed illnesses, 25 hospitalizations and 6 deaths, including a pregnancy loss, painted a chilling picture of what happens when contamination rides through a convenience meal supply chain disguised as dinner. The affected items, sold under private labels like Marketside and Scott & John's, carried use-by dates stretching into March 2027, meaning some could still be tucked deep inside home freezers. Because Nate's operates as a contract manufacturer, consumers rarely see the company's name. They see whichever store brand sits on the box. That separation hides crucial context. Multiple labels can share the same equipment, the same ingredients, and the same contamination. The FDA and CDC warn that these pasta bowls, once frozen, still harbor risk because listeria survives cold as if it were part of the recipe. Anyone who bought prepared pasta meals, especially linguine, farfalle, shrimp scampi, or meatball trays, should check lot codes, best by dates, and discard anything matching the recall. A spotless-looking frozen entree is no guarantee. Many families now turn to brands with clearer sourcing, like Amy's Kitchen, Evil, or Sweet Earth, choosing smaller batch meals they finish quickly instead of large format trays that linger in deep storage. Safety in this case begins with knowing exactly who cooked the meal behind the label. Stay vigilant, protect your home, and join our community. Subscribe now for deeper truths, safer choices, and updates that truly matter.
Thank you for watching today's video all the way through. If you found the content helpful, don't forget to click like and subscribe to stay updated with our latest daily videos. Now, feel free to check out other feature videos currently showing on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.